Okay, in this video, we're going to cover two things in detail. First is going to be vowel formation, and the second is going to be open throat breathing. So, for first, we've got 5 main vowels to consider, something that we want to practice as part of our daily routine. These vowels are E, E, A, O, and U. These vowels are all formed in a very particular way. We want to try and pay very close attention to what our tongue and lips are doing for all of these vowels. So, starting with ah, actually in the middle. Ah is produced by having an open throat, an open mouth, and a relaxed neutral tongue position. This is the sound that comes out very naturally when we're not trying to make any other vowel sound in particular. Ah, 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 ah. Now, the only difference between an ah vowel and an eh vowel is that the curvature of your tongue steepens ever so slightly. That's the only physical difference that we want to feel as we're changing from ah into eh, like this. Hopefully you can see my tongue move ever so slightly between those two. To get from eh to e, it's the exact same process. The tongue gets a little bit more steep, a little bit more elevated in the back. But notice that for all 3 of these vowels, the tip of the tongue is resting right next to your bottom teeth. And that's where it should stay. E, eh, ah, eh, e, Notice as I'm doing that, by the way, that I'm doing my very best to keep my jaw open and disengaged throughout that whole process, since many people tend to clamp down on their jaw as they go to an E sound and maybe spread out their lips like this. E, E. But with that more rounded lip position, or at least not extra spread positions, and a disengaged jaw, we can make a much stronger, much more resonant E sound. E. E. Still sounds like E, but it's a much bigger, fuller E sound. So those are the 3 vowels that are determined by the shape of your tongue. Now we can move on to the vowels determined by the shape of your lips, and that is A and U. Now, starting from ah, which is again that neutral position, relaxed jaw, relaxed tongue. Ah, the only physical difference that we want to be aware of is the slight rounding of your lips. Everything else should feel completely the same. Notice it's not very much either, just a few millimeters really. To get from O to U is again just a narrowing of that aperture, rounding of the lips, making them smaller and smaller. And again, try to notice when I'm doing that, when you're practicing that the tongue is still this relaxed, neutral, forward position. We want to resist every temptation there might be to tighten and contract the tongue as we are moving through these lip-only vowel changes. So, as a way to practice this, you can start from one to the other, going E, E, A, O, U in that order. So you're covering all of the tongue vowels and then lip vowels, like this. E, or you can practice them separately with a couple of words. First word for the tongue vowels, that's going to be the word yeah, a slow, deliberate, Bill Lumbergh from Office Space type of yeah. Very gradual. That gets us from E to E to an ah sound pretty well. Yeah. Watch that jaw. And then for the lip vowels, you start with oo, go to o, and then ah, similar to the word whoa, 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 whoa. Great way to practice transitioning between vowels, making sure that we're only using what we need to use and relaxing, disengaging, removing tensions from everywhere else. The tongue and then the lips. Those are the only things that we're worried about there. All right, second thing on the list is going to be this idea of open throat breathing. This idea of lowering one's larynx to expand the esophagus and allow for a deeper, fuller breath. Now, if you're a male and you've got an Adam's apple right here, one of the things that you can do to practice lowering the larynx is to place your finger just below your Adam's apple and to consciously try to move it below your finger like this. You might feel like the back of your tongue is moving down ever so slightly, but your jaw does not need to move for this necessarily. No other tensions need to be introduced. The better we can do that with limited motion that we can detect in the tongue, the better. I wasn't doing it perfectly every time there. That allows us to open up the esophagus a lot more and take in air much more easily. And that is the essence of this la gola aperta Italian concept for opera, the open throat. That's the literal translation. One thing that you can listen for this is the way that the way that the breath sounds as it goes through your esophagus. Because if our throat is more constricted, more narrow, raised larynx, then there's going to be less room for the air to move to maneuver. So when it goes in, it's going to go in faster and create a higher pitched dog panting like sound. But when we've got that lowered laryngeal position, that expanded esophagus, it makes a much deeper sound, if any at all. So that's something that you can listen for and something that you can feel for to have this open throat. And you want to do this anytime you're taking a breath before singing. A couple things to watch out for. Shoulder tension. Sometimes people will shoulder breathe and tighten up as they take in that breath. We don't want to have that. We want to try and stay loose. You want to feel an expansion somewhere in your abdomen area, where your lungs are. Your diaphragm contracts down and your lungs come down with it, expanding and allowing air to rush in. Some people will feel a sensation in the small of their back as they do that, this sensation of expanding around their sort of above the belt area. You could also experiment with just lying flat on your back on the ground and trying to become aware of your breathing process while you are flat on your back like that. The goal of always trying to have a reduction in tensions wherever we might notice them. All right, so that covers it. Vowel formation and this open throat breathing idea, two very good things to consider when you are going through your daily routine. All right, thank you very much.